Right, welcome everyone to the Love Island cast. I am Chris Phelps and my co-host is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris. Well, it's great to talk to you again about this. Last night we had probably the funniest episode we've seen of the season so far, but tonight, surely that's got to be the most explosive one, hasn't it?
Oh, amazing. Absolutely amazing episode. And I said to you, did I give it a few weeks and things really start hotting up and things will happen, totally unexpected. But we can only start with one thing, Dave. The love triangle, or the supposed love triangle between Yewande, Danny and Arabella. I've got to be completely honest, I didn't think Danny had a set. And by George, did he pull a set out there, Dave? Did he? Absolutely unbelievable. And I think as well, we got a little bit of stick, as we said in the last episode, for my comments regarding Yewande. And I saw tonight, Dave, and I do believe that my comments are completely correct in my mind. Anyway, I believe everything I said was correct because all of a sudden she did a full switcheroo on Danny, didn't she? She's like, we are a couple, still a couple and all this. And she was trying to and I'm thinking, hang on, you were absolutely nailing him to the cross yesterday. And tonight you've just sort of backtracked because the lads are recoupling and what a difference. And then at the end, especially, I mean, it's sad, and I understand why she reacted like that, but she did herself no favours in my eyes, and I think he fully justified in what Danny did by picking Arabella.
Yeah, I mean, I was with you. I mean, when he started to say at the fire pit there, about the intelligence, surely all of us are thinking, yep, Yewande's done it. And I'd text you, hadn't I, midway through the episode, and I'd said, look, he's going to go with the easy option, which is Yewande. So to not ruffle feathers or anything, that's what he'll do. But honestly, I didn't think that would be the right decision. I think if you believe that they had a future, that's already tainted now. It's gone. So I didn't see that staying there. I don't necessarily see much between him and Arabella either, but I thought he was going to go. I thought he was going to swim with the tide as the dead fish do. But no, he announced it there. He went with Arabella. By God, she showed it a few times, I think. But she has got a little bit of a nasty streak there, hasn't she?
Yewande or Arabella?
Yewande.
Yeah, she did. And I think you'd seen in the episode, Arabella had a go at her because she was whispering in Amber's ear right in front of Arabella's line of sight. And I'm sorry. And she did call her out, to be fair. I didn't know whether she was that sort of person. And she was like, look, it's just rude. It's awkward for everyone. It's just plain rude. And it was.
Then the comeback was, well, no one else is complaining, so it's just making you uncomfortable. Well, it just fucking grow up. It's not on the school playground. But I guess we won't move off this, but I wanted to know from you, because just going off all the social media interactions, it seems to be such a polarizing thing. You are either absolutely Team Yewande or you are Team Danny and Arabella. And, it's like, so we support football teams, don't we, that are opposite sides of the East Lancs Road. Yeah. So we will always look at exactly the same thing, the same match, the same events within the match, and we'll view them very differently. And we will always support our team without question. Until the day we, move along, we'll always support that team. And it seems to be just very passionate one way or the other. So I was interested to know from previous seasons, have we seen that kind of, such a polarizing thing?
Yeah, it's funny actually, because I've been reading an article just before the show started tonight regarding possibly some of the new people going into this Casa Amore. And there's a young lad there they're talking about, saying he's going to come in and ruffle Amy's feathers and blah, blah, blah. And he's got some sort of game plan. But what I totally forgot, and the article said that last year there was actually a coupling up. The guy went into Casa Amore and he ended up coming back with a different girl, hand in hand. Oh, and it kicked off big time, Dave. It was like, oh my God, the girl was devastated. It really, and it's been a few times where they've had like, some of the lads have gone and kissed the girls or vice versa. Girls kiss the lads when they're supposed to be coupled up, and they played a video to them. And honestly, genuinely, it proper gets toxic. But I think the problem with the Yewande and Danny thing is there's no there's no chemistry there. Like, I don't think there's chemistry with Arabella. I totally agree with you. But I just think it felt like it was on the verge of just absolute kicking off, like a proper fucking, we're going to go here. Yewande looked like she was on the edge. One way, I don't know what's happened to her. Like I say, we tried to speculate, we don't know. But she just come out as so pathetic. And at the end, when he tried to speak to her, and it's Love Island. I saw one of the ex-contestants, Katie, her and Scott were in season 2. I think they actually won it. And Scott Thomas's brothers out of Coronation Street and Emmerdale, the Thomas brothers. And he won it, Dave. I know you've not seen them, but Katie and him are together now. They were together quite a while after the show. She just said, lads, she said, guys, this on the Twitter, it's a game. I don't see what Danny's done wrong. And you're so right. A lot of like Team Yewande, a lot of, so not even Team Arabella. I don't think people necessarily like it, but they're like, he can do what he wants. He's on the show. If put it this way, if Yewande or someone else had flipped it and there's another lad come in and there's nothing between her and Danny and they're partnered up, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't think twice about Danny to go with someone else. And I wouldn't expect anything else, not because I'm slating her or I've got such a bad opinion of it. It's just, it's the fucking game. You're going in there. I mean, and then the girls are crying and I'm like, this is where I love it, to be fair. I love it and also hate it because it's like, fuck off. It's a reality show. You see on Big Brother, don't you, in that way? For years, these reality stuff. Oh my God, Anna's there, like, she's lost a family member. It's like, you're going to see her in about 4 or 5 weeks. It's not the end of the world. You might see him again, Dave. Sometimes they bring the old contestants back, like for an evening, a drinks or something. Yeah. So they're not, it's not, I know they've got bonds and 24 hours, they say, can be literally like a couple of days in there and that. And I'm not saying they're not friends and they're so close. They've got that in common of being in this sort of pressure cooker of a production 24/7. But come on, bit of context, really. And what Danny's done, I don't think he's going to get anything out of Arabella at all. But why shouldn't he do that? It's his decision. Why should he not do that? I don't understand the outcry. And the people out there, some of the people who support Yewande, I mean, some of it is awful, some of the things I've seen. Like, it's just terrible. And it's like, get a fucking grip, you know what I mean? It's just a game. It's a game show. We all love it. Love it or hate it. That the idea is love. Someone's going to win £50,000 out of it. And possibly, when they do win, Dave, they're going to get an OK Magazine deal, probably, because that's what usually happens. But they're going to make money. They're going to get spin-off shows. They're going to get something. So it's a career-defining event to actually win it. And whoever win it does get a bit of mileage out of it. So I don't see what the issue is for me. I just see it for what it is. It's just a game show that gives me entertainment. And the way they are, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, but there's an absolute clique there, isn't there? You know, with Anna, Amber, and Yewande as well. So, no one's really been able to penetrate that. Amy was in there for a while. She's still kind of half in, half out. She's too busy spending time with Curtis. But again, you kind of saw that. I still think they were in Joe's ear about Lucie, and that was, that guided some of Joe's behaviour. But I just have to say, as in yesterday, I think it was the best thing for Yewande herself to be out. Not for Team Yewande, for Yewande herself. She shouldn't be in there working out her own issues. But I do have a theory. In fact, the other thing I'll say just before I get to the theory, I mean, Danny, I don't know what him and Arabella are actually going to talk about, because when they talk about having the connection, the only thing I see them talking about is Yewande. So when she's gone, like, what they're going to talk about. Yeah, I agree. But I just, so many times tonight, I'm just saying, stop talking. Just stop talking. Because he's saying to Yewande, like, this recoupling, it's not come at a good time for me. And, really, I'd need a few more days. I mean, how to make a girl feel shit, I think this new girl might be better than you, but, I need a bit more time, and it's putting me in an awkward place. I feel really bad about it. It's just like, Danny, just stop talking. But yeah, I mean, Yewande was left in no uncertain terms, did she? I mean, one of the things that confuse people about, the way we use the English language is when we say one thing and mean the complete opposite. It's like, have a nice life, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, she'll, unless she has to, unless they meet up on a chat show or something, they're never going to speak to each other again. But, you know, she absolutely, I think up until that moment that he said Arabella's name, I think she still thought she was in the driving seat, you know, and she'd said to him, like, at the end of the day, we're coupled up. That means the square root of fuck all in there. You know? What does that mean? At the end of the day, we're coupled up. It does not mean anything. But after that little tangent there, Yewande was trying really hard to have a connection with someone, but she never actually really connected with Danny. He had that initial physical attraction and the flirting, and it did seem, you know, they were both a little bit awkward, the way they talked to each other, and there was definitely something there. But after that first kiss, there was just nothing. And, you know, so will Danny and Arabella go somewhere? Who knows? But they are both models, so they connect on that level. I've seen some things tonight that, you know, when Danny's talking about intelligence, well, surely Yewande's higher, you know, well, that is the problem, right? So she's got that scientific background and he puts clothes on and gets his picture taken for a living, right? Yeah. So beyond that flirting, there's nothing. So can you imagine the conversations between them? You know, so what do we know about Yewande? So she says she's a scientist. She says she, you know, wants to develop drugs and things to help people. So what she might say is something like, you know, what really interests me is where we're going with, you know, pharmaceuticals now. So traditionally we've had these mass-produced one-size-fits-all drugs which work for some people and don't work for others. And what we have now is we have these genome projects where we're looking to develop this personalized medicine or precision medicine. And this is going to help treat cancers and genetic diseases on an individual basis. I mean, how exciting is that? And then he might say, yeah, it's really good, that. Do you like my trousers? do you like the way they don't go all the way to the bottom? Like, they aren't as tight as Anton's trousers. But the interesting thing about these trousers, that if Anton wore them, they'd go all the way to the bottom, you know, because, like, Anton's shorter than me. And I don't think that'd be good, you know, when you're modelling. There is no fucking connection there. They have got fuck all to talk about. And that's why you had those silly, awkward silences. I do believe that Yewande had in her head, she'd convinced herself, especially when Arabella came in, you know, it becomes a territorial thing then. So she has to fight her corner. And that's why you got this awkward kind of behavior of going up and sitting on Danny, you know, in that very awkward way. But again, I just don't think they were ever going to work.
No, I agree. I think as well.
After all that, that's what you got from me.
I was just basking in listening to it, Dave, actually. But yeah, no.
My little conspiracy wall here has got it all figured out. It's just that explains, that rationalizes in my own mind where she is and what has driven some of that behavior. And some of that, again, the nasty streak that we've seen coming out, that is more a kind of territorial fighting their own corner thing. And so, you know, again, I still think it's the best outcome for all the people involved. But I do think tomorrow night we're going to see some of the fallout for that. And I think the girls are going to go for Danny. And I think there's a lot of the public that, you know, if things come down to votes, are going to be voting against Danny and Arabella.
Yeah, and we did see in the preview just a few minutes ago that Danny does have a pop at Amber. And I've got a feeling, though, Dave, we've seen this before. What you don't need, what you do for TV, because it looks great, is if Michael goes for Danny, you know, that's where you'll end up with a split, you know, because he's protecting his girlfriend sort of thing. But we'll see how that plays out. Now, Dave, start of the show, Maura and Tom. I mean, my word, let's lighten the humour a little bit. He is an absolute fucking plank, innit? I mean, to be fair to the lad, he saved it at the end with the recoupling because he said a fantastic thing. But I've got to say, Mr. Dave Horrocks done me last night on Twitter because, as everyone knows, we do these little competition. You can get the daftest and funniest tweet out and get a bit of a reaction from social media. And Dave pulled out a Dr. Spock looking bemused, and he said something along the lines of, "Oh, look, Maura's forgiven him quite quickly. Oh, hang on. Is that a recoupling I hear?" Or something like that. It's like, because she did, as soon as she knew there was a recoupling, oh, yeah, just do my hair for me. Just do that. He got a bit of a bollocking, and she told him straight. But also, at that point, I was thinking, clever girl, very clever.
So when I tweeted that, though, I'm not sure about the order of the timeline there. Because actually, she seemed to forgive him before they knew there was a recoupling.
Oh, was it?
Before they got the text, yeah. So I don't know. Surely they know there must be a recoupling every week, and there hasn't been one for 6 days. So surely that there must be one now. But yeah, it does seem a little bit suspicious. But I mean, the way it looked, she just kind of slept on it and got over it.
But Tom doesn't do himself any favours. Some of the drivel, you said about not speaking. I thought it was a cracking speech if the recoupling. He obviously picked Maura, and it was nice what he said. I'll give him 10 out of 10, and we all said that, didn't we, Dave? Me, you and Ace was like, yeah, I think he redeemed himself. But
I'm not sure I did.
Me and Ace, sorry.
Right, so you guys agreed. I said he cock-blocked himself. I'm like, hang about. That's surely on the same kind of theme as what you were in the doghouse in the first place for. Are you saying that you were quids in until you cock-blocked yourself? I wasn't as impressed with his words, and honestly, I think he's the villain of tonight. I think I'm seeing it completely differently from everyone else. He's absolutely, for me, he's one of those blokes that gives blokes a bad name. We saw exactly what he said.
And he denied it, didn't he?
Yeah, and then he said, no, I was just repeating. They asked me a question, and I repeated it. Fuck off, you fucking liar. Right? Yeah. We saw exactly what you did, and you turned around in that cocky way and said, yeah, it'll be interesting if she is all mouth or not. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So, yeah. But I tell you, the funniest bit was, the lad's reaction. And the thing is, Maura was stood outside, weren't she, getting more and more annoyed that they were talking about her. But the thing is, Maura, it's just fucking funny.
And Michael was there, wasn't he, going, shh.
But yeah, Tom, he's not listening to anyone. The girls are saying to him, just leave her alone. And he's like, yeah, but I just want to apologise. Leave her. And then when he's saying to Michael's trying to say, she's fucking there. He's just like, no, I just want to apologise. He's not listening to anyone. He's just on a loop, And I tell you what, though, there are 2 bits of advice that saved him. Because again, this is why I'm not buying that little speech at the end there. In the night that it happened, Amber said, after he's in there, in the girls, to me, being very unconvincing and basically lying, saying, he was just repeating what the lad said. Fuck off, bullshit. Amber said to him, instead of trying to justify it, just apologise. Right? That was a brilliant bit of advice there. I called her out yesterday for some shit advice, but that was a spot-on bit of advice there. Also, Anton running up to kind of console Maura and, trying to stick his underpants on the inside and go and rescue the situation. Him basically saying, look, he was just in the moment, he was trying to play up to the lads and that. For me, those 2 things happening are what influenced Maura to basically, forgive him. But then, Chris, when we started this podcast out, it was for me to hate on the show and you to be loving it. And it's not quite worked out that, because I'm kind of in there with that. I still hate it a bit. But I did say something along the lines of, they're a bunch of narcissistic arseholes, right? I'm loving the show, but I'm still right about that. Because suddenly Maura becomes this icon of feminism, right? The way she's being. And I don't think it's double standards. I don't agree with what the lads are saying there. It's very different. If you're openly talking about sex and whatever, that's different to basically saying that person there, I'm going to, he's implying that he's quids in and he's going to, he's going to go and ruin her kind of thing. But then Maura, like, she's suddenly on Pride and fucking Prejudice. It's like, no, I don't want someone like that. I want a gentleman. I'm sorry, Maura. No gentleman's coming after you.
No. And I think that's the problem. She came in, and I called her out on this, is as much as I was Team Maura at one point, obviously I've been in most teams through this journey, but she came in there, and the way she was so forward with Tommy and put it on him, and then she's saying stuff like, which I haven't got a problem with this, but it just contradicts the whole thing. And I'll still stick to my game plan theory with her. She's the biggest the game player in there. Is she's saying, I've never had a one-night stand. You know, we've only slept with 5 people. It's like, that's fine if you like that. That's no problem with that. You obviously, you know, you've got morals in that. Why come in like a fucking absolute whirlwind or a social tornado? Hint, hint. She comes in there and just takes the lads down, and the way she reacts, she contradicts everything she says at every turn, but she was in the right with what Tom did, because he was absolutely despicable. He was an absolute bellend for what he did.
But again, though, you know, that first episode, she came in there, she's looking at Tommy going, oh, he gives me the fanny flutters.
I know.
You know, I'd want him screaming out my name and stuff. What she said to Anton there, right, last night, so she said, if me and you were outside the villa, we'd have fucked, right? Yeah. Reverse that and put it in the workplace.
Yeah.
That is sexual harassment. You're fucking in front of HR then.
Yeah.
And as David Brent's mate said, I don't agree with that in the workplace. See what I did there?
Yeah, very good, very good.
It fucking is sexual harassment. So again, yeah. I'm not putting her on this pedestal of feminist iconism, or that's not a word, obviously. But she was in the right there. But I'm still not Team Maura at all.
No, well, no, that's fine, and neither am I, Dave. Now, the last thing I wanted to bring up, Dave, is Anton obviously had the weight of the world on his shoulders because he realised that Danny was going to pick Yewande or Arabella, and it was also down to him then to try and see what Lucie's game was. Now, for me, again, Lucie, fully aware of what she's doing, he said to her, I just need to know, like, are you do you want to leave, or are you into Joe, or do you want to find love? Well, if a surfer came in, and Joe's a party boy, and I'm not a party, if he'd come in. So yeah, actually, I would think you fuck off. You just want to stay in there. And poor Joe was probably at home, and I put a tweet of a fucking voodoo doll of hers, fucking giving it some waxing or something, because it was fucking bullshit. Absolutely. I'd rather them be honest and be like, well, fuck it, I just want to stay in here for as long as I can, because he's obviously doing a bit of a fucking testimonial tour now, Joe. He's been on all the insider stuff. He's been on TV shows, everything. I'm pretty sure he's going to go on Loose Women at some point and try and redeem himself while he tears his arsehole up to pieces. But I'm not being funny, Dave. It's just like, I loved it. I absolutely, because I think they're more human with Anton, because I honestly think that, and we'll find out tonight, the way it's played out is all on Danny. I honestly think Anton's going to get a bit of stick. I think they thought that they were going to foot Lucie off, and I think maybe Amy had a say in this, but we didn't get to see it. So I'm totally speculating. I could be wrong. But I also think they thought he'd pick Yewande, and then Danny would pick Arabella, and then she would go to be off with Joe into the sunset. But because he picked Lucie, I think they were more shocked by him picking Lucie than what Danny was picking Arabella. I honestly think he's going to get a load of shit tomorrow on the show. I really, really do. I think the way they've captured it, it looks like Danny's getting all the abuse, and I'm sure he will get abuse, and probably quite rightly. But I think Anton's going to get a bit of stuff behind his back with people, and Lucie as well. I
mean, you might be right, but again, I think I definitely don't see it that way. I think it was pretty obvious. I'm sure we discussed it yesterday, hadn't we? It was obvious Anton was going to pick her. I was surprised by that whole thing, you know, Joe's a city party boy. I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? If adverts told the truth, just come out and say, this is the best fucking summer camp I am ever going to have in my life. Staying in this luxury villa, you know, chilling out, not having to earn money the proper way. You know, this is a fucking dream. Of course I want to stay here. So I don't know. I think Anton, he's absolutely got a closer relationship with Lucie. I think if he thought he was in there with a chance, he'd be like a rat up a drain pipe, and Joe's friendship would be on the sidelines. But I think that was pretty obvious he was going to go for there. So I think in the villa, tomorrow the girls are going to go straight for Danny. You might be right. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Now, one really, really quick thing I wanted to get off my chest as well is nobody, and I'm going down with the clever editing on this, is Curtis come over to Tom, said, blame it on all the lads. It's me, it's us, which was absolutely awful advice. Then he was taking the piss out of Maura in the room, and she called it out and said, didn't she? She said,
even Curtis.
Even Curtis is doing it. She was talking away there. And she was right. She was totally right, but nothing got mentioned of it. And I'm thinking they should have gone for him there and said, even Mr. Goody Two-Shoes, Mr. Advice. But as soon as it was like, I can't think what the film is, but there's that film where whenever some bloke goes in the film, this guy appears next to him from nowhere. It scares the living daylights out of him talking to him. And he's I suppose it's a bit like Lurch at the Addams Family. He just appears from nowhere. There is fucking Curtis on your shoulder.
Did you see him running as well?
I know. Fuck off. It's fucking pathetic, isn't it? His advice recently has been so fucking flaky. He might as well have psoriasis. It's fucking terrible.
So I've got to give a shout out to Danny Raven on Twitter here. Sorry, Daddy Raven. We've been talking about Danny so much. So he tweeted us out some YouTube videos of people analysing Love Island, going off the body language and stuff. And it was it was an eye opener, to be honest. And she was saying, I don't really trust Curtis. And who's the couple? Is it Jack and Danny that you and Ace keep talking about from last year?
Yeah.
She mentioned her as well, that couple. So, she was saying that they're trying to be, that couple. And it was quite interesting because I've gone with, I just think he's a nice guy, but I think she was suggesting he's trying to play the game. Because ultimately, right, the guy's 23. He's had one girlfriend, he says. Where's all this fucking worldly advice coming from?
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Totally true. And also, Dave, as well, we've had we've had an email, and we've also had another review as well, so I want to read this one out. This is by Witty Muffin, and it's entitled Amazing Find. Just stumbled across this podcast and absolutely love it. Brutally honest reviews and so many laughs. Thank you very much, Muffin. And if you like the show and you want to give us a review, please get on your podcast catching app and drop us a line on there and give us some feedback. And if you do want to contact me, myself and Dave, at Love Island Cast on Twitter or the Love Island Cast at gmail.com as well. As well. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, but yeah, so contact us on the channels, guys. Now, Dave, have you got anything for us as we go?
Yep, I've got the email that you just spoke of.
Oh, read it out then, please.
So this is from Karen, so a friend of the show. So thanks again for the feedback. It's quite an insightful one. It's before tonight's episode, but it starts off so, oh my God, get Yewande off. Why the hell did she sign up for this torture? These kids that say my head won't be turned after only a few days on a show like this. Why? Danny is just playing the game /field. Yes, he liked Yewande, but she does seem a little cold, and another beautiful model has arrived, and you can't blame him for wanting to get to know her. He should definitely pick Arabella. Oh, you've nailed that one, Karen. Tom, only problem there is he was heard saying what he said. All Maura has spoken about is sex, so him discussing /bragging about her with the guys was natural. But having said that, good for her telling him off after she did hear a comment like that. Curtis and Amy, yawn, so boring. Completely agree there. Anna and Jorda, pleased for Anna, but he's not into it as much as she is. And then I think Anton will couple up with Lucie as friends to keep her on. I don't think Molly and Tommy will last. Amber and Michael, I'm still not convinced, although they'll possibly go all the way to the end. Look forward to your podcast every day. So, like I say, that's before tonight's episode. She's actually nailed a few things there, hasn't she? So thanks ever so much for your comments and your feedback there, Karen. keep them coming. It looks like you're nailing it, probably more than Chris and I are. But yeah, that's fantastic.
Good stuff. And so, Dave, thank you again, everyone. Thank you, Dave, as always, for a cracking episode. If you want to drop us a voicemail and you're using Anchor to listen to this podcast, then please do and give us some feedback or any questions you want myself and Dave to answer. So, Dave, as always, I'm going to drop you right in it, my friend. How are you going to take us out today?
Well, we spoke about Yewande and that comment of, have a nice life when people say exactly the opposite of what they mean. So, Chris, it's been absolutely lovely to talk to you, and I look forward to speaking to you again same time tomorrow.
Fuck off, Frank. See you later.